So, Neil, I remain worried. I remain worried that, yes, we've been granted freedom, but all of the language coming from Boris Johnson seemed to suggest that they might just take it away again over winter. Do I have a right to be paranoid today?
I completely agree with you, and I share all of your reservations. I don't really believe a word of it. There have been so many false freedom days or other versions of it along the way. I will believe it when I see it. But I think there's nothing so permanent as temporary government powers and government measures. They're addicted to the control that they've been able to impose on every aspect of life. I dare say there will be some kind of nod to some sort of freedom and loosening of the leash around our necks on July 19th. But I firmly predict that we will be back in lockdown of one sort or another between now and the end of the year. It's only a matter of time. For myself, I have only really borne the minimum of it so far. I've worn a face covering very grudgingly when I've gone into the odd shop, and only there. I don't wear it on the street, and I won't be wearing it from this point on. I'm sick to death of the whole thing. I think it's nonsense. I think there's so much more to life. There are so many more considerations about life, about mental health, about education, about the economy. And if we spend the rest of our lives living in fear of a disease that is under control, then I give up. I will be living my life from this point on. And the elected officials and their paranoid scientists can make their pronouncements, and I will get on with my life.
Of course, it's even worse in Scotland, Neil. You're not going to get your freedom, which doesn't involve no masks until August 9th.
Freedom's not something that a politician can take from me or give to me. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I will, I'm a taxpayer.
Yeah, I agree.
I will do my thing. Politicians here today, gone tomorrow. Goodness me, to even contemplate the notion that freedom is something that's theirs to give or theirs to take. Not in this man's army. I'm not having it. My freedom is my freedom, secured for me by my ancestors. No, I don't. I'm not handed freedom. Freedom's mine.
Go, Neil. I just want to give you a round of applause. Let's do it, Carol. Let's do it. But we're a broad church on this show, and Benjamin Butterworth, I presume you're absolutely bristling right now, and you think Boris is going way too fast and it's all going to end up in a catastrophic mess.
I mean, it's extraordinary that Neil Oliver says he's a law-abiding citizen and then lists the laws that he just won't follow because he doesn't agree with it. It's not how a functioning democracy works. And look, for me, I am glad that venues like nightclubs, like theatres, like restaurants won't have to have social distancing, because now we've got enough people vaccinated. I think that's rational. But there is a difference here with things like face masks. This is not a serious inconvenience, but it can help save lives. It can help stop people getting this virus. And what is extraordinary is that he is removing even more of these protections than we expected at a time when the virus is spreading rapidly. He said the Prime Minister said there could be 50,000 cases a day by 19th of July. Now, what does that mean in reality? Will that mean it is a prime culture for new variants to emerge that could undo all the good work we've done? I think it is a fatal mistake to gamble over face masks, and I bet you that in a few months' time, if we have restrictions returning, that's why it will have happened.
Carol, folk like Benjamin, and it's not just Benjamin, I've got a whole list of them here, seem to be just completely addicted to the idea of being controlled and being muzzled. I truly cannot understand it.
It was interesting in watching the scientists. I was watching Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance very closely, and both of them, you could tell when Boris was making the announcement about the masks, you could tell they were cross. And both of them tried to guilt the public by saying, we're going to wear them, and it's a matter of courtesy. What they're basically saying is if you don't wear them, you don't care about other people, which is not true. And Ben says that face masks are not an inconvenience. They are an inconvenience for a lot of people. And all this...
They're an inconvenience for me.
And for me too. I have asthma, but I wear them. But I'm not going to wear them. What what Whitty was basically saying today is you can be somewhere and all someone has to say is I'm uncomfortable if you're not wearing a mask and we're a terrible person if we don't put that mask back on. No, I want that particular freedom back. We know that masks are only effective if they're worn properly. And I swear to God, Dan, I see people wearing masks. They're wearing them under their chin, they wear them under their nose, they have them in their pocket, then they put them on. They're actually spreading viruses every time they... You know, we touch our faces between...
They've become about virtue signalling, Benjamin.
No.
They have.
They have.
It's not about
a sign of virtue signalling and quote-unquote respect.
It's
not about the
that.
science anymore.
It's not about
It is about
stopping
the science.
COVID anymore because they don't. They just don't. Unless
they
you,
do.
unless you wear them properly, and 90% of the population don't wear them properly. As I've just explained, they don't.
But first of all, it is little more than inconvenience. But not only that, the vast majority of this people in the country, as a poll showed today, and I went out on the streets of London to ask people what they thought of the announcement, almost everybody I spoke to, which was a random selection of Londoners, said that they wanted the face mask mandate.
Well, they can wear them.
Benjamin, I know where you hang out. You hang out among the London media lovies, the people who work for the BBC, the people who want this to keep on going. And of course they want to say masked up and muzzled. Where do you get off telling me what to wear? Where do you get off telling me what to wear? It's none of your business. It's none of government's business. It's none of Chris Whitty's business.
To reply that I'm not telling you what to wear.
You are.
You've got a lovely suit on. I just think it should have a face mask with it when you get on the tube.
Why?
And do you know what? I spoke to someone who worked for Transport for London, who works on the tubes tonight, and he said, I expect I'll still have to wear it for work and it will make me feel unsafe if I'm surrounded by people not wearing face masks when I'm trying to do my job.
But then
tell me, Dan, why you, a wealthy media working man, should be able to rail over those people, those workers that want to feel safe in their job.
Because what we actually have to start doing is undoing all of the damage from this mass propaganda campaign that has been run by the government over the past 15 months. Now, you can question whether that campaign was necessary for public health or not. Personally, I believe it went too far and was too strong. But Neil Oliver, I think what needs to happen is the government needs to spend an equal amount of money, or at least a few £1 million, on giving people the confidence, like that train worker, to actually realise it's safe now. If you are double vaccinated, surrounded by double vaccinated people, or even if you're not, we are not at a stage where this is going to cause the types of damage for the people who are vulnerable to COVID. The people who are getting COVID at the moment, Neil, especially in Scotland, by the way, at the moment, the COVID capital of Europe, are largely young people who are not badly impacted by this thing.
I don't want any more. I don't want to hear any more from politicians or their advisors. The last thing I want, to be quite honest, is another campaign. Even if it's them paying lip service to try and undo some of the damage, some of the enormous damage that has been done. As far as I'm concerned, I want the government and their advisors to stay away, as far away from me as possible, and let communities get back together. If people want to wear masks, I say let them wear masks. I'm just not going to wear a mask. We have to get back to a point where people are around people and that people are confident of being around people. For as long as this situation perpetuates that we regard one another as vectors of contagion, then there is no way back to any kind of normality. What has been triggered here is something deep and fundamental. There's an ancient protection in the human species, which is the disgust mechanism, and it's been triggered by the psychological warfare that has been waged by the government to get their way with COVID. Now, people are disgusted by one another. You can see it in the eyes peering over the top of these ludicrous face masks at the moment. The distrust, the disgust. We have learned to treat each other with not just suspicion. We're not just wary. People are disgusted by other people. Now, if we're ever going to get back to any kind of normal functioning society, we have to get beyond it. And as long as these restrictions are maintained and perpetuated, we are trapped in a Kafkaesque nightmare. There is one way out and only one way, and that is you choose a day, you drop all the restrictions, and that is it. Otherwise, we drag on in this nightmarish scenario, which will continue to have untold damage on the economy, on education, on mental health. It's going to last for years as it is. And we either get out of it now or start getting out of it now, or we just accept that we're trapped like a nightmare wading through treacle. We get out of it or we stay in it. And there's only one way out, and it's drop all the restrictions and drop them now.